Why is it your responsibility? It's not. At the end of the day, your responsibility is to grow to the level that you want to grow to. It's to achieve to the level that you want to achieve to. It's to love at the level that you want to love to.
When the pilot and the co-pilot are in the wrong seat, the plane might crash. So every relationship you have, what if you've grown a ton, but they don't see you as that?
Next Level Nation, welcome back to another very special, as always, episode of Next Level University, where we teach you how to level up your life, your love, your health, and your wealth. We hope you enjoyed our latest episode, number 1144. Can you have balance and discipline in your life? Today, for episode number 1145, happy Friday. Is it selfish to leave people behind? I was in the shower and I was thinking, what is an episode that I would like to do that I think people really, really need? And what is something that I have either struggled with or I have seen the most amount of people struggle with? And this is what came to me. I believe at a deep level, a lot of us are waiting for permission to grow because we're afraid that if we leave people behind, we are going to look selfish. We're going to seem arrogant. We're going to seem like we don't care about people. And this is the question I would pose to you out there. Why is it your job to slow down your growth so people don't get lost in the growth? Why isn't it their job and their responsibility to grow at the rate that you're growing towards what you're growing to? And the reason I put the question as that is because you might get to the point where you say, oh, not everybody is supposed to grow at the same rate as me. Not everybody is supposed to have the same relationship dynamic with me that they have today. Not everybody is going to be in my life 10 years from today unless one of two things happens. Either one, I slow way the hell down, or two, they speed way up. Why is it your responsibility to slow down? Why isn't it their responsibility to grow faster? That's the question I would pose to you. I'm leaning into talking about the stuff that kind of sucks, but I think is super important. I know you and I have struggled with this to a degree. I wouldn't say I'll speak for myself. I haven't struggled with I'm afraid to outgrow this person and leave them behind, and I think that's selfish. I've struggled more with I'm no longer pouring into that relationship. Am I a terrible person for that? Usually it's been in reflection for me more than anything. But I know there's a lot of people out there that they're right on the cusp. They're right on the cusp of that next level of growth, but they're looking around them and they're saying, this person's going to judge me. This person's already talking trash about me. This person's not going to like me. And I would phrase the question for you in this manner. Why is it your job to control or to live your life with other people's growth in mind? Why can't somebody else do that? Why is it your responsibility? It's not. At the end of the day, your responsibility is to grow to the level that you want to grow to. It's to achieve to the level that you want to achieve to. It's to love at the level that you want to love to. It's not your responsibility to make sure that you're slowing down for everybody, because I can promise you, number one, that's a losing game. Number two, you're going to regret it. And number three, in the future, if these people are no longer in your life, you're really, really going to regret it, because you're going to realize I traded in the future that I wanted for these relationships that didn't last anyway. Now, I'm not saying that you should intentionally leave people behind. I'm not saying you should do this from a place of ego. All I'm saying is you have the permission to grow into the person you want to grow into. And from two humans who have grown so much in the last 5 years, I understand there's a lot of junk with that. I understand there's a lot of fear, scarcity, pain. But if you look at it from that perspective, why is it my job to slow down? Why is that my job? That's not my responsibility. I've dedicated the last 5 years of my life to growing. And now somebody is mad at me for my growth. So that's the goal of this episode, is to get you to ask a question in a different way. And my real goal is to give you permission to say, look, you will outgrow people. Some people you should outgrow. It doesn't mean you're selfish. It doesn't mean you're arrogant. It doesn't mean you're a bad person. It doesn't mean you're a bad friend. Maybe it means that you are more dedicated and more committed to your goals than you are making sure everything stays the same. And I honestly think that's wonderful. But I also understand it's a challenge.
You posted recently something about a rap that you were doing where it was, I used to be scared of change. Now I'm actually afraid that I'm not changing.
When I think about it, it's crazy how much life has changed. I used to be so scared of change. Now I'm scared to stay the same. That was the...
Oh, there you go. Nice. Yeah. Kev, so hard conversation.
Yes.
And this has been my biggest challenge. And I'll just be honest and upfront about that. There's no bigger challenge, I believe, in my life when it comes to growth than this. And so I don't even know where to begin other than I fought against this for way too many years. I used to bring all my high school friends to my college parties, probably out of some fear of leaving them behind. I brought all my college friends into the company I was at in corporate America. Not all of them. Several of them, though. Like, several of them. Probably out of fear of that. And then when I got into personal development, I went all in on it. And I partnered up with some of my old friends. And I remember trying to help everyone. I have several past friends who I can think of right now that I helped them get their jobs. One of them was a referral from one of my old mentors who owned a company called Oz Development. I think he sold it now, and I think it actually got purchased. And then the other one is someone who I had an interview, and then last minute I took a different job, and then I got this other person that interview, and they ended up getting that job. And there are several other instances as well. And I also talk about the story of I lived in LA for 3.5 months, and then I came home to try to help my family financially. And so I think in many ways this has been my biggest challenge. And what I would say at 33 years old now is that I'm not really putting the weight of other people's success on my back anymore. Obviously, my clients and the NLU team, I hold a little bit of that because I do take the responsibility for the success of my coaching and NLU, obviously, as CEO. But I would say life is 1,000,000 times better now. My life, I'll say that. My life is 1,000,000 times better now. And so there's sort of 4 archetypes that I've talked about, and I want to give them briefly. The first one is the victim. The victim has low self-belief and low self-worth. They don't believe they can achieve much, and they don't believe they are worth much. The villain is inflated self-worth, delusional self-worth. They think the world of themselves on very little merit or based on the past. Think of like that high school athlete who was awesome, who now hasn't worked out in 10 years, but still has that same identity and thinks they're better than everyone else. And then you've got the hero, which is someone with high self-belief but low self-worth. They believe they can build the castle, but then they invite people over who will trash it. And then you've got the guide. The guide can build the castle, has actually built the castle, and knows not to invite anyone that isn't going to respect the castle, so to speak. And so quickly, for anyone who's a Harry Potter fan, Harry Potter parents died when he was young. He was the victim. The villain was obviously Voldemort. Became the hero when he was 11 and went to Hogwarts and started to realize all of this and tried to fight against the villain, and in some ways became the villain himself, that inner battle, and then eventually became the guide when he broke the Elder Wand at the end and realized that he doesn't need the Elder Wand to be great enough or good enough. And that's sort of the
spoiler alert
for the everyone. I don't want to say everyone, but pretty much at this point, if you haven't seen Harry Potter, spoiler alert. But the point that I'm making here is the victim is I need saving. The villain is screw everyone else. I'm going to get mine. The hero is I will save you. And the guide is I can't save you. Only you can save you. I can help. And so those are the 4 sort of archetypes that every book, every movie, every story are built around. And we've all been all 4 at times. And which one are you leaning into now? I would say the guide is what we try to help people become. which is like Dumbledore, for example, in Harry Potter reference. But the guide is someone who can lead by example, but isn't responsible for everyone else's crap. And that's what I would say it took me 30 years to figure out. And I think now we are more guides than we ever have been. Not in every area. I'm still at the beginning in some, but it's important to realize that not only did I waste a ton of time and effort that I'll never get back, but a lot of it actually ended up creating unnecessary drama and unnecessary tension that didn't really need to be there. And I didn't know that was what was happening. And I think my fear ultimately was to be alone. And I think on top of that too, I just wanted to see everybody succeed. I really still, and I still do. Our whole business is built around helping people succeed, right? What a coincidence. So I just saw so much potential in all these people. And I have been a little bit surprised to see how few of them actually have achieved their dreams. And that's just my truth. So that's my
I
take.
get sad. I have times where I think of certain people and I'm sad about it. I'm sad that I haven't seen these people. And you and I have talked about this. I haven't, and I most likely never will see some of these people again in my life. I mean, that sucks. I mean, and I want to make that clear. I'm not immune to this. I just have what I believe is a weird understanding that this is a good example. Tara and I were talking yesterday. And we were talking about how she wants to travel more. And I understand she's just stuck in the routine and she wants to travel. She loves fun, unique experiences, and we haven't done any great travel. I mean, we did Colorado and we got married out there and it was wonderful, but she wants to see other parts of the world. Understandably, that's one of her core values is travel and experience. And we were talking about it and she said, Can you take time off in December? And I said, no way. No, I can't. There's no way. I said, maybe we can talk about February, March, but December's too soon. There's way too much going on. The holidays are already jeffed. We're already going to lose momentum. I can't. And she said, well, and I really appreciated this. She said, well, I can always go without you. And I was thinking to myself, wow, okay, interesting. I said, I don't want you to go without me because I want to make the memory, but I appreciate the fact that you're giving me that option. Because basically what you're saying is, I know it might not be aligned for you to come, but I'm not going to let it stop me from doing something that's in alignment. And I think that's a micro version of this macro concept where, look, not everybody is going to want to be friends with Alan and I in 10 years. Not everybody is going to want to get a text back that's 3-word answers that takes a week to get back to sometimes. Not everybody's going to want that. That's not for everybody. If the preview of the future is not for this person, the reality of the future probably isn't for them either. We're doing an episode, and Alan doesn't know this either. We're doing an episode on Monday, so 1148, on what kind of friend do you want to be. And we'll go deeper into that. But that's my new belief, and that's the permission I want to give you if you're out there. At least explore this. If you have friendships where you feel overly committed based on a decision that you didn't make, at least look at it. I'm not saying you have to leave all your friends and your family. I'm not saying that at all, because for most people that's not healthy, sustainable, or it's not the best decision. I think that's probably the best way to put it.
Hey guys, so I wanted to give a little bit of my experience about group coaching. I'm learning stuff, I'm applying the habits, and I have other people that's doing the same exact thing. One of the biggest things that I think I gained from group coaching is when I went through that month of being so sick, I was so determined that I would just try to do as much as I could. And I just couldn't wait until I felt good enough to get back to doing all of them. I've just seen so much growth in myself, and I am so appreciative to have the group, to have, that immersive experience. And I really appreciate all that y'all do.
But for many of us, if we looked at our relationships and said, why do I have these relationships? A lot of the relationships we have are because of the pressure from the other person, more than it is from the pleasure that we're getting from the relationship. Just check in on that and understand that, will you be made a villain by some people when you leave them behind? Yes, 100%. Will that also allow you the opportunity to attract in people who you can guide? Yes, 100%. That's the interesting, I feel like we're in a very interesting point where I have so many podcasters that message me now. I got an email from somebody the other day, and I felt very Evan Carmichael in this moment, which was cool for me. This is somebody I did a free call with, and I literally helped them set up a podcast business, a podcast production company. I said, this is exactly what we've done. Go do it. You're off to the races. Here you go. This is the pricing I would charge. These are the messages. Cool. Do that. And I messaged this person when they sent me an email, and I said, how's the business going? And it was just an awesome thing where that person looks up to me as the guide. And there are certain people in my life that will never look at me as the guide, and I'm okay with that. I understand that now. That's kind of par for the course. But there are people that will look up to Alan and I as the guide. Hopefully, if you're on this journey with us and you're listening to this podcast, maybe you look at us as coaches or you listen to us for inspiration or motivation, whatever it may be. But understand, the reason you're in this relationship with us is the intention behind it, which for you is most likely growth. If the relationships you have in your life aren't built on the things that you're aiming for in your future, it's important to look at that, because it's not necessarily going to get any better. In theory, it's going to get harder because the rubber band is going to get stretched more and more and more and more. So I thought this was an important thing to talk about, especially since you and I have grown a lot over the last few months. I feel like a lot of weird things have happened. So I wanted to touch on this because I think deep down, we're all looking for that permission for somebody to say, hey, it's not selfish for you to grow. It's not selfish for you to pour into yourself. It's not selfish for you to get to the next level. It's not selfish for you to chase your dreams, chase your goals, chase your aspirations. Now, is there a fine line there too? Yes. If you're working 23 hours a day and you're not spending time with the ones you love, obviously that gets muddy. But that's not the ultimate goal of this episode.
So, in an effort to give everyone the permission that I've given myself and that you've really helped me with, Kev, honestly.
Thank you.
Because Kev said something along the lines of, think about it mathematically. What are the chances you run into these people again? And it's like, oh. And you said something along the lines of, if you can't continue to pour in at the rate you're pouring in now, and you know that you're only going to have less time as we grow, it might not be sustainable.
It most likely isn't.
And it's not. And it's very clear now. So I kind of had to realize in advance, oh, okay, so what they want out of a friendship, I'm never going to be able to provide. So I'm going to play a losing game for the rest of my life. Like, let me just opt out of this. So hopefully that will give some people permission. I was on the phone with a client the other day, and I really helped, I think, free her from the relationship challenges that she has, not intimate, but friends, family, particularly family in this case. And I figured this out. It took me so long to figure this out. There are three. So first and foremost, every relationship that you have in your life is the byproduct of a common core value, core belief, or core aspiration. So Kevin and I have a common core value of personal growth. We have a common core aspiration of building the most successful holistic self-improvement company that we can. And we both have a core belief that self-improvement desperately needs to be more apparent in the world. So we get along because we're very aligned. And yes, we have different core competencies. That's totally fine. He's good at things I'm not. I'm good at things he's not, for sure. Joking. Okay. So there's that understanding. So once you and I had the stark realization of that when I quit drinking, because that was the common core value or core hobby or core passion that created a lot of my relationships. It was built around having fun. And once I stopped focusing on having fun, doesn't mean I stopped having fun, but I stopped focusing on it, at least in that way, most of my relationships slowly slipped away. And I made the mistake of thinking, oh, there's something wrong with me or there's something wrong with them. No, not true. We just don't have that in common anymore. So ask yourself that. Do you have anything in common with these people? Seriously. Not really, most likely. I certainly didn't. Now, last thing. I know we got to jump. There are 3 seats. So Emilia and I are coming up. So we just surpassed our 3-year anniversary. We've never fought in our entire life, never raised our voice, never stormed out. There's never been a real big issue in our relationship, which is mind-blowing to me. But I figured out why. Number one reason why is her emotional regulation is world-class. She's never, ever raised her voice in any regard or anything like that. Number 2, we both have good personal development set points. Number 3, though, and most importantly and most relevant to this, is our core aspirations, core values, and core beliefs are very, 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 very aligned. There are very few things. There's only 2 that I can think of. She loves adventure way more than I do. I love movies way more than she does. That is literally it. Everything else is identical. So it's really cool. But our core competencies complement. Okay, but here's what I realized. The only time Emilia and I have ever had challenges, ever, is when we were in the wrong seat at the wrong time. And maybe we do another episode deeper on this, but these are the 3 seats, okay? Whenever you're in a relationship with someone, me and Kevin right now, you and a friend, you and an intimate partner, you and your family member, there's 3 roles. There's teacher, there's student, and there's peer. And then Kevin thinks of a 4th one, which is guide, and we'll talk about that in a second. But whenever Emilia and I were in the wrong role at the wrong time, we had a challenge. We butt heads. I'm putting my fists together. We butt heads a little bit. Not bad, but a little bit. And here's why. When we were starting the Conscious Couples podcast, she was like leading. Mm-hmm. And I remember I had a moment where I'm like, whoa, hold on. I have like, egoed up, I have thousands of episodes. Do you know how many shows we produce? Right? No, but the point is I literally had to sit down. I said, sweetheart, do you like think you know more than I do about this? Because I needed her to like be the student for a second so that we can actually succeed as a team here. When the pilot and the co-pilot are in the wrong seat, the plane might crash. So every relationship you have, what if you've grown a ton, but they don't see you as that? And so Kev, any past friend that you've went and hung out with, I noticed this is why I have a challenge. I am the guide. I am the teacher in most areas at this stage because I've put in the work. Thousands of books and thousands of podcasts and thousands of coaching calls. Not everyone's doing this all day, every day. So understandable, you know? And so I go back into these old rooms and they see me as the way I used to be. And I'm sitting there and I realize that I have to break through this wall of them not being the guide anymore or the teacher. And I'm sitting there in the student role and I have to somehow break that paradigm. And so everyone think about their parents or their caregivers. When you become an adult, you realize very quickly you are the adult now. You are the parent. And I had opportunities my mom didn't have. But when it comes to business, life, holistic self-improvement, it's not close, and that's okay. But I can't let her guide anymore. And she's my mother. She doesn't know how not to guide. So it creates this weird tension. And instead of actually break through that glass ceiling, so to speak, what we do is we avoid or we leave or we fight or we flight or we freeze or we fawn. And what I'm saying is that you can readjust those seats if the other person has humility. If they don't, just leave. It's not worth your time.
Powerful episode.
One of my favorites.
Episode. And I'll say this, and to Alan's point, the people that I'm most happy that are still in my life are the ones who have the humility to understand where I am the guide. And it's not everywhere. There's certain people that they know way more about their industry than I do. So I go to them. I ask them. Matt in real estate. All right, Matt literally sent me a message 2 days ago. And he said, hey, quick business question. And I love when he hammers me with that. It's awesome. And he was asking me about website stuff. And he said, who do you know? And I said,
Next Level Web Solutions.
Yeah, I said, Alessandro. I know Alessandro. But he's done that before with content. He messaged me. He'll ask about content. What should I be doing on social media? All that.
Next Level Social Media. we got a service for that.
Yeah, we got a service for that.
$59.95, boss.
$59.99, boss. It's just very clear. It's very clear. There's a humility to that where, and we'll dive deeper into it when we do the episode on Monday about what kind of friend do you want to be. But I thought this was an appropriate episode to do. And although it's painful, it doesn't mean that, number one, you won't deal with it. Number two, you can't come out better on the other side. And number three, that you can at least raise your awareness. That's the ultimate goal. That's what we're doing. Yes, we're branded Next Level University. This podcast started off as hyper-conscious. We're always going to be hyper-conscious in some way, shape, or form. Next Level Nation, we are leaning into something. And what we are leaning into is the fact that our goal is to add the most amount of value. That's really what we're playing for. That's why we do 7 episodes a week. If they come up with an 8th day of the week, we're going to have to do another episode because we want to add the most amount of value, and that's the way to do it. We have a course on our website that is completely free, and it is the most valuable free course you're going to find. I really believe that. It's based on us understanding our listeners at the deepest level, sitting down in our old studio, recording however 3 hours of video or 4 hours of video, then cutting it down to an hour and a half, making it into a really nice course. It's on our website. It's completely free. It's yours. You can download it. There's worksheets. Take it at your own pace. Share it with your friends. I don't care. Just take it if you think it'll be something that's valuable to you. I believe it will be, and that's why I'm talking about it.
The reason Kevin and I got to where we are is because we eventually and slowly but surely stopped with the shiny objects and the quick fixes and the hacks and the cheat codes and the tactics and the tricks, and we just got back to fundamentals. That's what that course is.
Yes.
If you really want to be successful at whatever your dream is, this is holistic self-improvement for dream chasers. If you want to achieve your dreams, you're going to have to do the fundamentals. That's what this is. Clarity, commitment, consistency, community, and confidence. It's brass tacks fundamentals. You're going to have to do the work. There's no way around the work. Trying to get around the work is the problem. Kevin and I didn't try to get around the work. We just did the work, and we want to help you do the same. So it's a course. It's super valuable. Sit down. It's going to be deeper than this, and there's homework assignments with each module. We can't give you that on a podcast. It needs to be in the format of a course. Super, super important. Also, we have an event coming up December 18th for the Next Level Hope Foundation. I'm actually on the landing page now. The landing page will be in the link in the show notes. It is 45 days and 5 hours out. You can either donate or attend. If you're in the greater Worcester area, hopefully you can attend. Appreciate you being there.
Massachusetts.
Worcester, Massachusetts, yeah. There's a video on there where you can see our Father's Day event with all the kiddos running around. You can see me beating Kevin at basketball. It's no big deal, whatever. I'm joking. I don't even know if it's on there. Or you can donate. We have a GoFundMe page. We are matching up to $500. You can see the photos of us with the kiddos. We have a story on there. Check out the landing page. Any contribution matters. I don't care if it's $5 or $50. Every little bit counts. Thank you so, so much.
Grateful. Very grateful. Next Level Nation, tomorrow for episode number 1146. Are your expectations setting you up for failure? Tara and I had a date last weekend that gave me some good ideas for episodes, and that is one of them. As always, we love you, appreciate you, grateful for each and every one of you. And at NLU, we do not have fans, we have family. Happy Friday. We'll talk to you all tomorrow.
Please reach out.